Hey everybody, it's the Doll Boy, and today I'm back with a Disney reroot video. I already have a bunch of Disney reroot videos on my channel, but in most of my older videos, I rerooted all my dolls with saran hair. That now, years later, I'm not the biggest fan of anymore. Currently, my preferred hair to use is nylon hair, because I feel like over time, that hair type just holds up a lot better and can be styled a lot more times without using boiling water or heat. So for the way I play with my dolls, nylon hair definitely is a winner. About 6 or 7 years ago, I rerooted this Disney Store Belle doll with ashy brown saran hair. And as you can see, at the moment, it's not looking the best, and I have been playing with the idea of giving all of the Disney Princess dolls a new and improved reroot using nylon hair. And Belle will be my first candidate. Mainly because for that first doll, I've never even made a video. Second hand, I found this Disney Parks Belle doll that has an absolutely gorgeous face and a round hairline, which is pretty rare for Belle dolls at the moment because she usually comes with that widow's peak. For me, I personally prefer her with a round hairline because it just gives you a lot more freedom in styling her hair. Comparing the hair colors of the new Belle and the rerooted Belle, you can definitely see that the original hair is a lot warmer and almost touches that gingery feel, especially in comparison with the super ashy brown that I used on my reroot. This time around, I definitely wanted to keep more to that original warm brown color, and for that I looked in my hair stash, where I found the light mocha DGHQ nylon hair from the Doll Planet. That's pretty close to a perfect match. I did not have enough of this color though, so I looked for some other brown shades that I can mix in to create that perfectly highlighted blend. For this, I felt like sepia was a pretty good alternative, that's just a little lighter and less intense than that light mocha, but still captures that warmth. Then the chocolate is a pretty good basic brown that I can imagine mixed with the red cinnamon will give some very nice dimension. That red cinnamon is definitely too red, but mixed in with the other colors gives a super cool and blended look. That definitely captures the tone of brown that I wanted to go for. To properly blend different shades of colors together, I like to stack them in my hands, making sure the ends line up as well as I can get them, holding the hair in the middle to start, and then brush the colors together, switching my hands to the end of the hair, brushing out the length, and then switching my hand to the other hand and brushing it again. And I just keep switching my hand position until I have a seamless blend where you cannot really define each individual color anymore. And once I'm happy with the color blend that I created, I hold it against the doll to see how it will look on her. And once I feel confident it will look great, I simply chop the original hair off as short as I can. Then I dip the doll's head in a bowl of boiling water to soften the plastic of the head, so I'm able to take it off the body a lot more easily. You then want to take out all the leftover head from the doll's head. My preferred method for this is taking my forceps pliers from the Doll Planet hair and scraping the inside of the doll's head to pull all those short pieces to the inside. Then once the outside of the head looks nice and clean, I can assure you that the inside of the head is filled with leftover hair. I open up those same forceps pliers, enter the head through the neck hole, close the pliers on the inside, and pull them out through the neck hole again to pull out chunks of hair that you've collected on the inside. I simply keep repeating this step until the entire inside of the head is empty as well, and you've got a fully clean base that you can work on. Once that entire head is clean, it's time to look at the doll's original rooting pattern. For Belle, it was looking quite nice, but that big hole at the front of her part line was worrying me a little bit. So just as a precautionary measure, I like to put some liquid fusion on that big hole. While I'm at it, I decided to also put some extra glue on the rest of the part line and that top as well, because in that area there were a lot of bigger holes very close to each other, and doing this step really avoids any tears in the plastic while you're working on the reroot. You can put on a second or third layer around 2 to 4 hours after putting on that first layer, and then after doing your final layer, you're gonna wanna let the glue dry for about 24 hours before actually starting your reroot. If you've seen my reroot videos before, you know that I like to prep my reroot hair by laying a bunch of small strands on my table. For me, this really helps to keep my reroot process neat and easy, and to make sure that I lose as little hair as possible. For this specific reroot, Belle has extremely thin holes on her hairline, so I'm keeping that in mind with the strand size that I'm laying down, keeping those strands extremely tiny. I also take these tiny holes in consideration when picking my reroot needle, and for the hairline I actually decided to use a size 7 needle, which is the smallest needle that is carried by the Doll Planet hair. That's recommended for fine detail, hairlines, part lines, and eyelashes. And if you are planning to get your reroot supplies from the Doll Planet hair, make sure to use my discount code TheDollBoy10 for 10% off your entire order. Then to start the actual reroot process, I take one of the strands that I lay down on the table, wrap it around my finger 2 times, making sure that the ends of the hair line up as well as possible, and then I pick up that hair with my reroot tool, gently pull on the ends to create that knot on my reroot tool, and then push it into one of the holes on the hairline. As you might know, I prefer to start the reroot on the hairline so I can get that practice run in before reaching the front, which is a lot more important than that back hairline. Honestly, the combination of these thin strands and the tiny reroot needle made my life so much easier for this hairline, because I'm pretty sure that if I would have used thicker strands or a bigger reroot needle, that hairline would have definitely cracked up on me. Then after completing the complete front and back hairline, I move on to the part line. Since I closed all those holes with that liquid fusion glue, I do need to make new holes where I want the hair to go. For this, I'm simply clamping a normal needle in my 4 pliers and push this in a straight line from front to back. I make these holes close enough together to create a seamless part line, but spacing them out just enough so the plastic will not crack. Then I switch my reroot needle from that tiny needle to a bigger size to make sure I can add more hair to each hole in one time. That's because for the part line, I'm simply rooting one thicker line from front to back that I split into 2. It is a lot easier on the plastic if you root the part line in 2 goes, filling up each hole once at first, and then going back in where needed to add a second or even third strand. So that is what I did for this doll. Then once all the hair is added, I simply drag the end of my rat tail comb through the part to split up that row into 2 and show off the beautiful part. So far, for that hairline and part line, I only used the color blend that I created, But for the inside of the head, I'm gonna use each color individually as well as more defined pops of color. I still did have some of that color blend that I created left over, so I also added that, and then I simply alternated rows of each individual color as I went on, making sure to keep both sides of the head pretty symmetrical as I went on. And then, after completely filling the head with hair, it is time to glue all those knots that we created on the inside of the head together, to make sure the hair doesn't fall out while styling it. For this, I like to use Fabri-Tac glue. I add a generous amount to the inside of the head, and then swirl a Q-tip around on the inside to spread that around evenly. This glue takes about 12 to 24 hours to completely dry, and after that, it is time to put the head back on her body. For the body, I really wanted to use a made-to-move doll to make sure the doll had ultimate posability. I did check my body donor drawer, and I found this classic made-to-move Barbie, but unfortunately her skin tone was off by quite a lot. So I opted for the purple top made-to-move body. That was pretty close to a perfect match. To make sure the head fit on there very easily, I cut off the top part of that neck bag. And then put the doll's head on her new body. I then perfected her part line to make sure I was happy with how that was looking, and then dip the top of the head in boiling water to make the hair lay nice and flat. With this nylon hair, you really want to be careful with the ends, and I actually prefer not to have them touch the hot water at all, because it is a risk for those ends to frizz up. However, the top of the hair can easily handle this heat and responds to the heat great. After that, I also want to chop off some of the length of Belle's hair to make sure her ends are nice and full and all one length. I also went in to give her frontmost strands a little layer that I can pull out when doing hairstyles on her, but that can also easily blend in if I want to have that full long hair look. To give the hair some movement, I wrapped it around perm rollers and left it to dry overnight, which gave this gorgeous wavy look for her. And then obviously, I had to try some of her most iconic styles. If you want to see more different looks of my Belle doll, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well, where you can see more content of my dolls. If you like Belle's new hair, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also let me know in the comments down below which Disney doll you want to see a reroot for next. And then I really hope to see you in my next video. See you next time!